Greetings, I am Toglin, Hell's Harlequin, and we're going to try and do this stream again. One of the reasons I cut it off last time was, well, because anyone who was watching could see there was actually a rather big secret that was revealed and whatnot, as well as I wasn't prepared to stream alone because I had Gabe streaming with me. So when he just jumped out of the stream like that, I wasn't entirely sure what to do. I'm going to go ahead and post my stream into the chat so that if anyone wants to join me, they're perfectly capable of it, just because streaming alone is rather awkward. Like I said, for this particular broadcast, anyone who wants to join me is free to join me as long as there's room in the Hangout. Yes, the cake is always a lie. That's why you're better off with pie. Sorry, that was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Anyways, like I was saying before, the reason I was making fun of me being Hispanic for getting diabetes is just because statistically, Hispanics are actually at higher risk of all forms of diabetes despite diet compared to most other races, except for I know that Blacks and South Asians also have a pretty high risk as well. So, I'm not doing too terribly when it comes to mental health wise. Physically, not doing quite so well. I've been having a really bad stomach ache the last few days. In fact, I had to go to the hospital last night because I was severely dehydrated and they had to actually give me IV fluids. Why, hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
Like I just said, I had to go to the hospital last night because I've had the stomach flu the last couple of days and I got really, really severely dehydrated, so they had to pump me full of IV fluids.
Ooh, that's not good. Was it
Nah.
gastroenteritis or?
I think so. All I know is that they gave me some anti-nausea medication and had me hooked up to some IVs, and they told me that I should, if I get that dehydrated again, or even like half that dehydrated, I should go to the hospital sooner.
Yeah, you got to, because it can kill. I've had it. I've ended up in hospital for 2 weeks with it. It can be quite severe.
I actually feel much better after getting the IV fluids. I was able to go home and actually drink some regular water and things.
Yeah, it does perk you up a bit, but you still got to watch your levels.
Yeah, I've managed to get down 2 pieces of toast since then, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's all right then. As long as you're eating. Who's on camera now?
We got somebody on camera.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
So I'm just going to have it an open question. Does anyone have any questions about my mental or physical health? Because I know with that last live stream I did, a lot of people were very concerned about me, and I had things on Twitter and long rants about how I shouldn't commit suicide, even though, like I said, that was actually mostly a clickbaity title I was doing because I was feeling sorry for myself. So I'm like, hey, let's talk about suicide.
What's your diagnosis and what medicines are you taking?
I'm not currently, well, for what exactly? Because I've got a lot of diagnosis. For the
Maybe of depression.
I'm bipolar, borderline, have generalized anxiety, as well as PTSD and night terrors. If you want to know all my diagnosis.
Oh, you've only beaten me on one. That's the night terrors.
Really?
I've got all the rest.
I thought night terrors was natural with PTSD.
No, I tend to just sleep through it. I don't know what it is.
It's trouble sleeping. And
Well, I didn't even know I had night terrors because I didn't know these counted, because I've always thought night terrors were where you wake up screaming. Apparently, when you wake up crying, that also counts as night terrors.
Mm.
Taking anything like an antidepressant or a mood stabilizer or anything?
I'm taking, right now I'm currently taking Seroquel, Lamictal, and Prozac.
I couldn't take Seroquel.
It knocks you out, doesn't it?
Yes, it gave me like the hangover, the Seroquel hangover. It makes some people sleep eat.
It just makes me sleepy, that's all, which is fine, because with my anxiety I was having trouble sleeping anyways.
Lamictal's pretty good though. I've got that and Wellbutrin.
Oh, Wellbutrin would overstimulate me to no avail. I tried that, and it actually gave me the shakes.
Ew. What about? I've also had good luck with propranolol or propranolol.
Yeah, I've had that. That's good stuff.
It's like a tiny little pink pill. It's supposed to be it's what they give people with like stage fright. It's like the stage fright pill. It kicks in like 15 minutes and it'll calm you down for about 2 hours. But if you take too, everything runs slow.
When it comes to just as needed, they gave me Vistarol.
Never had that one.
I'm not sure about that one.
It's one of the milder ones, because one thing I talked to my psychologist about is that I've met a lot of people who are over medicated, if you know what I mean. They kind of act all. So instead of taking 1 or 2 big pills, I take a lot of very low dose of little pills, kind of like my Seroquel is only 25 milligrams.
That's quite a low dose.
Yeah.
50 micrograms of sopranolol or whatever. I can never pronounce it. Citalopram, that's it.
But yeah, for the diabetes, I'm not on any medication. I'm just monitoring it through diet, and they actually have me poke my finger 4 to 5 times a day just to chart my blood sugar so that they can see whether or not they need to put me on medication. So
pre-diabetic,
something like that.
but
Hormone imbalance.
Yeah, you've got a chance.
So far my sugars look really good. I've definitely thrown it off because, like I said, I had a really bad stomach bug, which means I haven't been able to eat, which weirdly enough rose my blood sugar. So I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'm not eating and I have higher blood sugar.
Yeah, exercise will do that too.
Really? Exercise lowers my blood sugar.
It depends.
Different people's metabolism, isn't it?
Yes.
Mine's not terrible. Like last I measured, I think my blood sugar was at 116, which they said is high, but not like anything I should overtly worry about.
Well, I've got an extremely low blood sugar level. Doesn't matter what I eat.
Could eat candy all day, though. That would be good.
Yeah. Not good for your teeth, though.
I have a friend who is the skinniest guy ever, and I swear he exists off, like, gummy bears. And I'm like...
It's pretty much like me, then. I'm tall and very skinny.
Yeah, I don't understand what's up with you tall and skinny guys not having to monitor your diet. Like, if I, like, look at cake too long, I gain weight. I'm one of those that, like, has one of those... just has a propensity for gaining weight.
I think it's just different people's metabolisms process food in a different way. I think I've got an extremely slow metabolism, whereas some people have got extremely fast.
I don't know what's up with mine. I know that when I was vegan, I was the thinnest I'd ever been, but vegan diets are hard. That means that you can't have chocolate because most chocolate has milk in it, and that's just.
Well, I couldn't stand being vegan or vegetarian.
I'm what they call a flexitarian. That's what my nutritionist told me because meat is a very, very small part of my diet. Like it really isn't something I overly strive for because I've got like weird animal rights like issues because I only eat meat from humane sources and that's freaking expensive. So generally I don't eat it much, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I'm the same way about beef and pork.
What's that?
I'm the same way about beef and pork. I don't eat it because it's more expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's mainly chicken and fish.
I eat a lot of fish, actually. That's my main meat diet.
What types?
Well, I'm from Alaska, so we eat a lot of salmon.
I'm Norwegian, so I eat a lot of salmon.
That makes sense.
Get a lot of good salmon in Norway as well as you do Alaska.
Yeah, I'm guessing the climates are pretty similar.
Yeah, it is. Freezing cold.
Oh yeah, I know that Alaska and like only places up in the north are some of the only places that get the big Arctic frost shingles, which I've talked to other people from other places and they don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about the large hoarfrost or Arctic frost.
Yeah. You've seen the fairy dust when basically the air around you freezes and you get like all these little twinkles in the air where it's just sort of frozen.
It's beautiful, but it's terrible to be out in, but it is gorgeous when that happens.
Yeah. It is.
Wait, like, are you or do you guys get full on ice fogs where it's like frozen fog around you, so it all is like fairy dust, but it's like a condensed packet of it all around you?
Yeah. We do get that.
It's horrible.
I'm looking forward to Northern Lights, so I've yet to see them this year.
We've already been seeing them.
I'll do flight tours, so I'll take tourists up and fly them around. So,
that's really cool.
So I hope to take some up there to see the Northern Lights close up. Well, as close as I can get anyway.
They are beautiful.
I fly through it.
I only saw the green ones a couple years back. It was just Ontario.
You can actually see them in whites and pinks too if you're lucky.
It was just green.
There's only something like that a lot of people don't realize is when we have really strong northern lights, a lot of people get headaches. I don't know if that's normal or not, but I know
it is normal. Especially for people that suffer through thunderstorms that get headaches like I do.
I've never seen a thunderstorm, to be honest.
But what it is to do with is the electrical impulses through the sky, and it can affect some people's heads and give them a headache.
Makes sense. Yeah, I actually get bad headaches when the northern lights, like not normal northern lights, but when you get the really, really strong ones that cover the whole sky, especially if it has any of the other colors like the whites or the pinks. It actually gives me terrible headaches.
Oh God.
But yeah, do you guys have any other questions for me?
Give me a minute, I just woke up.
Yeah, I was wondering how long you've been on YouTube, because I've only found you recently.
I haven't been on YouTube for a full year yet, but I think I'm pushing it soon. So I'm thinking like, how long have I been on YouTube? I think like 10 months or something, 9 months.
Also, I've known you for pretty much most of it then. So I've been on here for about 6. I've known you 6 months on here.
Well, it's kind of an interesting question because I've actually been like, I was more of just a troll and commenter beforehand. So I've actually been like interactive with the YouTube community for, I think, 9 or 10 years. So
yeah, that's pretty much what I am. But I tend to get involved with other people's live streams and set up my own as well occasionally. But I don't make content yet. But I'm planning to soon.
I started making content when I started actually talking to Sugar Tits more on Twitter, because me and her became Twitter buddies over a year ago.
She's great. She is. Love her.
Oh, she's really nice. Yeah. So she started encouraging me to make my own content and whatnots. And my first video was inspired by a fight me and this one person had on Twitter, where I'm an avid Magic player, and I ran across this article about how Magic is sexist because not many girls play. And I'm like, I've tried to get other girls to play. I don't think it's a sexism thing. But, you know, and that a lot of the artists are male and whatnots. And I basically did this thing saying that doesn't make really much sense to say that it's sexist simply because it's male dominated, or at least, you know, most players are male. And I didn't realize that that tweeting the article to Sugar Tits would actually inform the person who made the article. So me and the article writer got into a very long Twitter dispute, and like, she didn't answer any of my questions. So my first video was just like a random rant where I was very awkward and shy about it, being like, why is this sexist? Why would you think that?
Ooh, I can't even remember how I got into streaming with people. I think it was just straight at chats with people and they wanted to grab me on for some reason, because I do tend to mess around a bit in chats on some people's channels. I haven't done it with yours yet, but
I don't really do live streams, just because I've now just figured out how to do live streams. I had to ask Misa about that. I'm like, how do you live stream?
I just use Hangouts.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. So
yeah, I brought a special microphone and everything, so it should sound quite clear.
I actually was pretty lucky that I got to do a live stream with a much bigger YouTuber than me only after my second video, which really like boosted my channel over like 100 subs really quickly, which was really nice.
Yeah, that is a bonus. I started off with, I think my first ever stream was with Viper Sword. Don't know if you know her.
I know her, yeah. I've met her on one of Misa's live streams.
Yeah, I streamed with her, and then Sir Adamantine. I'm sure you've heard of him.
I've heard of him, but I don't know if I watch much of his content.
He doesn't actually make content. He's one of the big ballers that tends to donate a lot of money.
Oh, okay. I could use money.
So get on his good side. He tends to, when he does a donation, it's usually in the hundreds.
That's insane. I've been having issues lately with people actually being willing to buy my art. I have a lot of people comment and tell me, you should make art for me. And I'm like, sure. Then I tell them my rates and they don't talk to me again.
How much do you charge? How much do you charge, out of curiosity?
Oh, $20 an hour. And I only charge for, and I actually only charge for the actual work involved. Like, I usually do a preliminary sketch, get the sketch approved, and then I charge you from there.
Not too bad.
What's the normal cost on that?
Well, it depends. Like, something like my avatar took a little longer than you would think for the initial things, because I did all of her lines on Illustrator. That's why she has those nice vector basings, which that one took me about 2 hours. So something like that would probably cost around $40, depending on the style. But some of the more simplistic ones, like not with a full background and things like I have with that, would probably be only $25 or $30.
See, that's not bad.
Because I've actually got a really quick production rate.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. I mean, my avatar that I'm using at the moment cost me about $35.
Well, the other thing that's nice is I can actually add simple animations to avatars not with the same rate, as in, like, I'll just charge you for the time of the animation. So I had somebody interested in and he asked for, I think, 3 images and 3 animations, and I totaled it up, and it was only $60, and for some reason he's too cheap to do that. I'm like, really?
Animation's not easy to do.
Well, the animations he wanted were just facial animations, which is pretty easy. Because that way I can I just have to animate over the top of the avatar, which isn't too big of a deal. If you wanted something like my drinking tea animation, I think that would cost you $60 on its own, just because that actually uses about 30 frames.
Yeah, I'd be pointless doing facial animations on my avatar.
Right. You could do your eyes rolling or something. I don't know.
Have you been making any new clothes?
Huh?
What's that?
You making any new dresses or clothes? I know you had the video with the booth.
Oh, I haven't been making dresses so much, but I do make a lot of bonnets and a lot of bows. My bows are usually my biggest sellers, but my last big sellers have been, I make Victorian style chokers, you know, the ones that have the chain designs coming down from them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those have been my big seller lately, which for some reason they've actually replaced the bows in sales, but I think that's just because they're more in style right now. And well, chokers are in again, and these ones are not like the ones you can get in the stores, so I think people just like the whole thing that they're in style, but they have something different. I don't know.
Oh, I got a good question. Are you gonna do a video on Amos Yee?
I've been thinking about it. It's just, oh my goodness, we're back into pedophilia. Why? Why?
He's a provocateur, so I thought that was possibly what he was going with, but no, it looks like
It's genuine.
yeah, it was a little bit too genuine.
I actually found his video to be quite depressing, to be 100% honest.
I wonder
Okay,
if
as well.
prison had anything to do with that.
I'm sorry?
I wonder if prison had anything to do with that.
Oh, that's bad. I don't know. I kind of think he likes attention just because I've seen his other videos and like his atheist videos, and they're very provocative even compared to most atheist videos.
This one though was a bit creepier, a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. He pretty much just like crushed my soul when he said babies can consent to things. I'm like, what? What?
Or animals can consent.
Oh.
You can train consent.
And then he started on about animal fucking.
Yes.
I thought, Jesus Christ, there's something wrong with me. You've said about sleeping with your own mother if you wanted to.
Oh.
I'm thinking somebody needs to get this guy fucking locked up.
Like, the only thing I can agree with some things on is I don't see an issue with pedophile Lolita porn type stuff. You know what I mean? Like the hand-drawn stuff, just because they're lines on paper, and I just can't. To me, even though I find it distasteful, I can't ration the idea of jailing someone for something that doesn't hurt anyone, if that makes sense.
I suppose it's no different from the old-fashioned artists in the Renaissance period and that with the babies with the bows and arrows naked, is it?
I guess.
Like, there is a sexual connotation, but my argument is, as an artist, if somebody commissioned me to draw babies mutilated and murdered, that's not a crime. So you can do, like, horrible things to people in images without it being a crime, except for one exception. And to me, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, the artist who done my avatar refuses to do stuff like that.
Well, I would refuse to do stuff like that, but I'm just saying that it's because I actually do have some pretty hard limits on what I'm willing to draw and not willing to draw. But I'm just saying that if there was an artist who was willing to do these things, they're not really hurting anyone in any way, shape, or form. So,
well, there have been some quite graphic art pieces in the past that were just pure art, but it was quite violent sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's just kind of like one of those things where I can't logically justify things that don't hurt people. You know what I mean? Or making those things illegal.
Well, so it's like the violent computer games thing, isn't it? Really, it's not hurting anybody. It's people use it as like a stress relief. Maybe it's a way of getting rage out for the artist.
Yeah.
Instead of hurting somebody in real life, you just draw it.
I don't actually draw too many overtly graphic images. I think the worst I've ever drawn was a decapitation, to be honest, though.
That's pretty extreme.
I'm a huge fan of Gonegai, and he draws some pretty damn disturbing stuff. I don't know if any of you know who Gonegai is.
I think I've heard of him.
I've heard of him.
He did Cutie Honey and Devilman. As well as Violence Jack, which is considered one of the worst, it's considered one of the worst animes you can possibly watch for the gore effects in it. Like, yeah, I've heard it's complete. Like, people have such a bad reputation for it. I will actually defend it because one of the things that people don't seem to understand is the animation is beautiful. Like, even though they actually show intestines when you rip people open and stuff, the animation is gorgeous. So it kind of has an interesting, like, it's weirdly not as disgusting to look at as a lot of other shock animations. So I think it's got kind of a weird artistic nature just because it is so well drawn, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The artistic flair behind it. Like the background settings and all that, like the music and everything like that can make a total difference to a scene, can't it?
Mm-hmm. As well as just I like the deep, heavy shadows and everything about his art style. So I'm one of the few people out there that will defend Violence Jack because it's always on the list for like worst animes you should never see.
I've only just started getting into anime because I just come back from Japan about 2 months ago. So
I've always wanted to go to Japan. How is it there?
It's pretty cool. I was over there during Halloween, which was a bit of a shocker. It's quite cool. It's certainly different.
Yeah,
it's hard to describe it, to be honest. You'd have to go there to really experience it. Just everything's totally different from what I'd expect it to be.
I know that Japanese culture is quite a contradiction because it's very open-minded yet also very conservative at the same time.
Yeah, it is. But so I never had no real troubles with it. In fact, Halloween I went out dressed up as a ninja. I thought I might get done for social appropriation or whatever. No, is it racial appropriation, isn't it?
Yeah, cultural appropriation. From what I understand, like other cultures don't really care. That's like a Western thing.
I was getting laughs when I was walking down the road dressed up like that because they haven't really seen a 6'7" ninja. I was like a giant for them. I should have gone as Godzilla, to be honest.
You know, one thing I've always kind of laughed at is I've even heard people say that white people wearing Lolita style is cultural appropriation, but I'm like, Lolita was developed in the 70s in Japan, but it was based off of French and English fashion of the Victorian age and Edwardian age. So I'm like, who's culturally appropriating who?
Halloween is a Celtic holiday, so it's why are they complaining? It's not even their tradition.
Yeah, it is a Celtic origin, and it's got something to do with paganism.
Yeah, from what I understand, modern Halloween is most closely associated with Samhain, which was originally practiced in Ireland.
Also,
Ireland and Scotland.
Catholic.
Oh, and Scotland?
Yeah, it was Scotland as well.
It's also a Catholic All Saints Day on the 1st.
Yeah, but that was well, that's mostly because a lot of Christian holidays are directly are basically to get more of pagan and basically to convert pagans a little easier. A lot of Christian holidays are actually just a replacement for pagan holidays.
Yeah, like Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christmas is definitely a good example.
Because, yeah, I know that a lot of Bible historians or something believe that Jesus was born in spring or summer or something. I don't know. I remember watching a documentary on the subject once upon a time.
I don't have a clue. I don't follow religion at all, to be honest.
I'm a bit of a documentary junkie, to be honest. Like, I don't really watch much TV or TV shows, but I do love my documentaries.
I like the natural history ones. I like those.
I really like dinosaur documentaries the most.
Funny enough, I've been going through a cycle of those.
Really?
I watched a load on YouTube the other day.
Oh, I've watched every dinosaur documentary they have on Netflix and a lot of the ones they have on YouTube.
They've got some great ones on YouTube.
Oh, you know what's one of my favorite places to go is whenever I visit other places, I love visiting the museums of natural history.
Yeah, they are cool. I love them as well.
Despite the fact that I'm an artist, I'm not too fond of art museums or especially cultural art museums. I know I'm like, I am pretty indifferent about culture.
I think the closest thing I went to in Japan to sort of a museum is I went to one of the Shinto temples.
Well, that seems like that would be pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. I wasn't. They wouldn't let me take pictures inside for obvious reasons. Place of worship.
I'm with you in the art museums. I've seen, I don't know, they're doing more art for shock value.
Oh, they are nowadays, yeah, that's for sure.
The elephant dung nipple of, was it Madonna? It was a Virgin Mary with an exposed elephant dung nipple. It sold for millions.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I have mixed feelings about modern art because I actually did take a contemporary art class once, and the origins are very interesting and the concept is very rebellious, but I think a lot of modern interpretations of modern art I don't find nearly as interesting as more of the older modern art, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, like, who was that English guy who cut a shark in half and pickled it?
I more prefer things like I'm a huge fan of Salvador Dali and things like that, and he's considered a modern artist.
Yeah, I don't mind Salvador.
I like Salvador Dali. I also really, really, really like MC Escher, but I'm not entirely sure what he's classified as because I know that a lot of his art comes from mathematics.
Oh, is he the one who does like the stairways that go all over the place? The geometry one. Yeah, I've got one of his pictures funny enough on my wall. I love those pictures. He's trying to figure out which is upside down, which is you can watch it for hours trying to figure out how the hell you can reach the top.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are actually weirdly dismissive of his art because a lot of art is based on more of emotions and things. Apparently, a lot of his art is mostly his fascination with perspectives. So his is more of from sheer fascination rather than raw emotions. And I've met like those, you know how there's artists and then there's those very pretentious artists. I've met a lot of pretentious artists who have dismissed his work just because it's more of a fascination-based art rather than an emotional-driven art.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's I actually did do art in school. But that was mainly because I didn't like PE. Which is sports, basically. I didn't like doing sports, so I done art instead.
I got into a huge fight with someone when I told them I'm not a huge fan of modern animation because like they were saying how much better it is because the frame, like you can get so much better frame rates without any clipping or such like that, where a lot of other art, especially like if you look at like the old X-Men and the old Batman art, which I love. I really love the art style of 90s Batman, but
yes. Batman Adventures and Batman Robin.
Yeah,
that was the best.
But yeah, I love the way the style and the flow was, but they said, well, now modern animation has much better flow because it doesn't have the imperfections that you see between the individual frames. Because when it comes to hand-drawn animation, you really can't get the you can't get all of the cells to have that type of perfection as they do now. So, like, for instance, Steven Universe actually has the highest like cell to frame rate of any animation ever made. If you actually look at it just as an animation standpoint from how one move transitions to another, the animation is flawless, but I don't really necessarily like the art style so much because I think that just because the transitions are flawless doesn't mean the art doesn't mean the movement has a flow to it. I was trying to explain that and she's like, what do you mean? The other ones are imperfect. I'm like, that's not what I'm saying.
Was she a feminist?
I don't know. It was just somebody I met at one of the art shows I was at.
I've had a lot of feminists try to turn me on to that cartoon. I've watched it. It's just not for me.
I don't think it's a bad cartoon, but it's not one of my favorites for sure. I do like cartoons, but when it comes to more of modern cartoons, I think I liked Gravity Falls a lot better than Steven Universe.
I've got no idea what those are. So. I think the last time I watched cartoons was when He-Man was still on TV.
I'm a big fan of cartoons. I'm such a dork.
Have you played a South Park game?
What's that?
You played South Park: The Fractured Butthole?
This will probably make me lose subscribers, but I'm not a fan of South Park.
Okay.
I don't like it either.
Really? You're like one of the only people I've met who says that. Most people say blasphemy and they try and like burn me or something.
I don't like the art style. I think the comedy is a little bit childish.
I think that's why people like it. I don't know. It's not really my cup of tea.
I mean, the art style really put me off. I know it's supposed to look like kids drew it, but it's Jesus Christ, they could have put more effort in than that.
Well, they do now.
I don't know. I ain't seen it in ages. I think last time I seen it was when it first came out, and I thought, I'm not watching this again.
Oh, my mom really likes that show. Every time I go to visit my mom is the only time I catch an episode is because she's just a huge fan of South Park.
I wish people would stop going on about bloody Rick and Morty as well on bloody Twitter.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's good. Like my friend's been trying to get me to watch it.
I like it because there's a lot of sci-fi references, like Futurama, but a lot of the fans are just the bandwagon fans. They're kind of
My friend who's into it isn't really one of those type of fans because he's one of those that just simply likes what he likes and doesn't like what he doesn't like. So he's really pretty, like, he's pretty independent, like not one of those type of bandwagoning people. So
yeah, I'm not. I still haven't seen Lord of the Rings or anything like that.
The art style, it's actually pretty funny for Rick and Morty.
I know it's supposed to be based on Back to the Future, isn't it? Slightly.
It is, but they don't travel back. There's no time travel because the creator said he didn't want to venture down that. So they go multiverse.
Yeah.
And there's just every episode is supposed to be another universe, kind of like Sliders.
yeah, I was thinking that. I'm like Sliders.
Yes, I'm watching that on Hulu. It's my nostalgia shows.
You know
Like
what I
that.
think's you know what I think's the best science fiction of the 90s though?
Which one?
Babylon 5, probably the best show ever made.
Never got into that.
Really?
Never got into that. I was I think it's because I don't know. I was still catching up on the old Star Trek. Is it?
I actually watched that show when I was a kid. Actually, because I'm 30 years old. So when I was When I was
Yeah.
actually a child, I used to watch it with my mom.
So did I. Freaking love Picard.
Oh, I love Picard. Out of all the Star Trek series, Next Generation is my favorite.
Have you been watching the Orville?
I have not. No.
I thought that the new Star Trek was going to be good, and the Orville is going to be garbage because it's Seth MacFarlane. Seth MacFarlane is a huge Star Trek fan, and watching it, it's incredible. It's not cheesy like Family Guy. It's actually really funny, and a lot of the same scenarios as Star Trek, but his own telling. Like the first episode starts off, he catches his wife in bed with an alien. And they beg him basically to come onto his own ship where he's the captain. He's got his own version of Data, which is a robot. If you sit down and watch an episode, it's really good.
I just have a hard time getting into TV shows as of late. Just kind of.
I'm the same way. I'm so far behind on like Walking Dead, and I'm not even finished with the first season of American Horror Story.
You know, it's something I absolutely love to watch. It's like a guilty pleasure, although it's funny because I was watching a video of Ranting Monkey, and he said only stupid people are into that. I'm like, oh. I love watching first-hand ghost stories. Like, it's just a weird guilty pleasure. Like, I don't necessarily believe them, but I find them interesting.
That's right. I tried to come on and tell you mine.
I love the reenactments, especially when they get really bad actors to reenact the scenes.
Yes.
And the cheesy sound effects. They're just awesome.
It's like 90s unsolved mystery.
Yeah, I actually found one that had the same like narrator to it, and I just have been addicted to it.
Yeah, I tried to come on and see if you wanted to hear mine because I had 3 instances. I had a babysitter that lived in a haunted house, and I thought she was bullshitting me, but no, she actually had poltergeists in the kitchen. And the last one was a friend's house where their dad had died in the living room. I didn't know about that. I knew his urn was in the back room, and I kept seeing him out of the corner of my eye, thinking I'm going crazy. Like, I'm going to feed their lizard, and I see a guy with like a white polo shirt and dark slacks leaning over looking at the tank. And I call her, and she starts immediately crying. She's like, yes, that's my husband. I see him too. But I'm there alone house sitting, thinking that, I'm getting a weird feeling the whole time.
That's definitely interesting.
But
yeah.
It's like scary. It's more like I don't want to touch his car or borrow his tools without asking.
Do you ever watch Creeps McPasta's videos? Either of
I've
you?
seen.
No, I haven't.
I really like that guy.
I do watch occasional paranormal ones, but I don't believe in any of it.
Oh, Creeps McPasta just retells creepypastas he's read or any interesting stories he's read, and he just builds it up and he's got one of those really good reading narrating voices. So
check him out. Yes.
Although he sounds really young, doesn't he?
Undoomed? He might be. He might be in his
No, I said Creeps McPasta sounds really young.
I don't know. I haven't heard him. I'm subscribed to so many people. I'll have to add him.
Oh yeah, Doom definitely has an epic voice. I can't really tell his age by his voice at all.
He's probably, I want to say mid-30s. He's got that booming voice where he could be just young, skinny, white guy with an incredible voice.
I'd say he's a little bit older than mid-30s.
A little bit older.
It's because how deep he gets his voice.
Oh yeah.
I've got a pretty deep voice, at least for a girl. I do.
I've heard deeper.
Really? I was actually shocked when I started recording my voice because I had no idea it was so deep. I'm like, wait, is that what I really sound like?
Your voice is going to sound deeper. I don't know what it is. Every time I hear a recording of my voice, it's always a lot deeper.
Yeah, mine's the same. First time I heard myself recorded, I thought I sounded a little bit like Barry White. I thought that ain't me saying.
I don't know if it's how you hear yourself. You hear yourself in a lighter pitch, but no, your voice is not that deep.
My singing voice is compared to other girls because I actually go lower rather than higher for my singing voice.
Sing for us.
Just because it's more comfortable to go lower, I found, than to go higher.
Sing for us.
Huh?
Sing for us.
You guys have probably heard me sing on a couple of my videos.
Sing for us. Come on.
I've only ever sung on live stream once, and I was extremely drunk, so don't ask me to.
Let me think. Because I do a lot of karaoke, so I'm just trying to think on a good song to sing. It's a god-awful small affair, said the girl with the mousy hair, and her mother is telling her no. Oh, God, I'm messing up the lyrics. I don't... That's
sultry. It's not it's more sultry.
Yeah, it's hard if I don't see the lyrics in front of me, so I'm just like, wait, what?
It's fine. Nervousness too.
It's Life on Mars, wasn't it? David Bowie.
Yeah. Generally, when I do karaoke, I choose male vocalists just because I found it's easier for me to keep with the timing and the music because a lot of female vocalists, I have to go too high. There's a few exceptions, just like I'm very good at singing Total Eclipse of the Heart because that one you can go a little lower.
It's a good song.
And it's a crowd favorite when you do it karaoke because people just go nuts over it.
Yes.
People hate me at karaoke, I'm telling you.
Really?
I tend to sing Metallica.
Oh. I sing Megadeth.
Well, that's quite impressive.
I've always wanted to go to karaoke with a helium tank and sing Frankie Valli. Just think that would be fun.
What's really cool is I sang Megadeth on stage once, and I once got talked to by a talent scout. Apparently, she was from the East Coast and doing an article on Alaskan bands and artists because we actually have a lot of bands up here. And she said the only issue is that she was only supposed to cover full bands, and she wasn't even at the bar to like do any talent scouting. She was just there because it wasn't a weekend and there was no live bands going, so she was just there for singing karaoke, but she was really impressed by my vocal range. So she told me if I joined a band in the next month, she would actually try and cover me, at least me exclusively, but I just didn't have the time or resources to do that.
Okay.
I mean, the places I do karaoke at normally, you usually just sing poppy songs. So when I get up there and sing Metallica, it doesn't get a good crowd.
It really depends on the place because there's one bar that when I sing Peace Sells by Megadeth, they go crazy. But I found that like if I do that at the gay bar where I normally sing karaoke, I sometimes draw a little bit of aggro. People like look at me and they're like, "What? What did you just sing? I don't understand."
Oh God, I got banned out of a pub once for keep playing a bleeding song. Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name of. Every single time I used to go in there, I used to go to the jukebox and put it on, and they kicked me out.
Really?
Yeah, it was one of those sort of clicky pubs. I used to do it deliberately, though, just to wind them up.
Most people are pretty easygoing where, like, most of the bars and stuff like here, we don't really have too many clicky pubs. I think that probably Myrna's is the closest there is, but even then, people are pretty laid back.
Well, it's Alaska, and it's the nice part of America.
It's a nice part of America. Actually, you know that proportionately, we have one of the highest crime rates in America, at least per capita.
Yeah, that surprises me.
Especially when it comes to violent crime, like we have an incredibly high murder rate, as well as we have the highest rate of rape per capita.
See how? Didn't know that.
Well, a lot of it has to do with how remote some of the areas are. It's hard to get police to those areas, so it's not really in the cities. It's actually more in the villages and really remote areas. And plus, since it's per capita, there's not too big of a population, so that would affect our
Yeah.
statistics more.
And it's a bit like Norway. We've got a very small capital, but we've got very low crime, but we've got a lot of police. And the police around in Norway, you don't want to mess with. They're obnoxious kids, I'm telling you.
I'm over here in Texas, and that was lots of police. I actually
We
go to
have-
the school that was shut up last summer.
We have a lot of police in my area.
Remember the attacker that killed the 5 cops?
Oh,
Oh,
uh-huh.
Yeah, I go to that college, and he was blown up in one of the middle rooms. So that was off limits for about a year while they were rebuilding it. Now it has a completely different floor and separate doors.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, the big issue here is that a lot of areas in Alaska you can only get to by plane, and a lot of the really high crime rate, especially for the rape rates, is actually going on in the villages.
Hmm.
Right now, also the areas where people go if they don't want to be found.
Yeah, I know that we've had a lot of serial killers, but most of them have been imported, as in like people from the States come up and use the remoteness to hide bodies.
Yeah, that could be true. They'll either go to Alaska or Canada, or they'll go to Mexico or somewhere just to get away from the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think stuff like that is why we have those statistics. But I don't know. A lot of people you meet up here are really crazy, and like one thing that like shocked me when I went to a club in Oregon, I went dancing and nobody was inappropriate to me, and that actually was a bit of a shock to me because I've stopped dancing at clubs up here because if you try and dance, especially by yourself and you're not with a guy, guys will come up to you and like grind their crotch on you and stuff, and you're like trying to scooch away from them. They follow you, and you're like, get away, get away. It happens all the time. What's
you get
that?
decked for doing that in Norway.
You get what for doing that?
You get decked. In other words, knocked out.
Yeah.
So women in Norway do not mess around. I'm telling you, they're just as strong as the blokes. They don't look it, but they are.
I've heard that.
I think that's happens a lot up here too. It's just I'm quite passive, so that's probably why I get harassed a little more.
I mean, I lived in England for a while, and England's a bit like that. You just sometimes get people drunk up at bars and start flirting with girls that you're with, just to start a fight. You know what I mean?
Well, there is one thing that's really funny is that I met a girl who said that she had a hard time getting hit on in the States, but Alaska is one of the few states that actually has a higher population of males than females. So she said that she gained 100 pounds in the last couple of years. She came up here, like she said, down in the States, nobody hit on her after she gained all that weight. She came up here and she says that does not stop guys at all. She still gets like everybody hitting on her. She says it's a great self-esteem boost if you're not feeling very good about yourself. Come up to Alaska. They don't care what you look like.
Well, here that's usually not a problem if they've got thicker girls go better here.
Really?
Yes. I knew a doctor who came from New York, and she was upset because she had put on maybe 30 pounds and said her ass was kind of fat. I'm like, you in the right place for that. They like a little bit not obese, but a little bit thicker.
I don't necessarily know if it matters what you look like up here. It just seems like we have, because of the I think it has something to do with the fact we have more men than women. Guys just have not become picky at all. They're just like, I don't care. Don't care.
Sounds like guys. A lot of guys I know.
Oh, that's terrible though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still kind of funny though.
There's actually a joke in Alaska. They say you don't lose your girlfriend, you lose your turn. I actually literally knew girls who had waiting lists. They're just like, Okay, so if I break up with Johnny, I'm gonna go ahead and date Timmy afterwards, and then if things don't work out, I think I'll date Scott.
That's the best I've heard this week. The last one was why are short girls so mean? Because they're close.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm dating a 5'2" woman at 6'1", so she's got all those jokes, and I just try not to. I have to do a lot of reaching.
I'm not sure if I'm short or not because I'm 5'4", which I know is average, but like my guy friends still make fun of me for being short because I am shorter than they are. But compared to other women, I think I stand about the same height.
They're guy friends. That's how guy friends treat their other guy friends. They're kind of dicks. Yeah. So they're treating you like an equal.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tower above you, but I'm unusually tall.
Yeah, that's that Norway tall. What, 6'7" or 4? You said 6'4"?
6'7".
6'7". That's really tall.
My first boyfriend was 6'4", and he pretty much towered over me because that's like a full foot.
I'm nearly 2 feet up.
Yeah. What's it? Do you have like bruises on your knees for no reason, being so tall?
Yeah, I do get that. I've got major problems with my knees.
When you're tall, you don't realize. You're like, how did I get these bruises? Oh yeah, I had to look for something underneath the couch.
I have a question for you. Do you get annoyed when Americans say they're Norwegian or something like that because they're of Norwegian descent but they've never been there?
I've met quite a few that have said that, and it doesn't really bother me, to be honest. I just brush it off.
Because I've heard a lot of people from Europe have issues with that.
I don't really have much of a problem with it. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of them. There's 2 girls online on YouTube called the Harp Twins. And they're distant relatives of Norwegians. Yeah, I've got no problems with it. In fact, to be honest, they came over to Norway recently and played, so I've got no problem with that.
It's just interesting because I've heard some people have issues with that or some people don't. When I tell people I'm Mexican, though, I'm not actually lying because I was actually born in Mexico. I was actually born in Mexico with my mom moved down to Mexico to work as a translator. She one day found that the company that she was working for translating just was closed up one day and didn't even inform her. So she was like stuck in Mexico and didn't know what to do. So she met a band of traveling street artists. And my dad was one of them. And he showed her how to make perfumes and jewelry and things like that. And they just basically, she traveled like a gypsy for 10 years. He ended up dying in a car accident. So she came back up here to be with family. So I really am like half American, half Mexican, and was born in Mexico.
That's unusual. I've always wanted to go to Mexico. And problem is, it's a bit violent from what I've heard. Some parts.
It's not as bad as you'd think.
Well, I went to Tijuana a while back. Some parts were okay. I was told to stay away from the police station, and then I ended up on the Coahuila something street where they had like this shitty little carnival, and then teenage hookers.
God.
I heard that Tijuana is not one of the best places, even though it's a tourist area, just because there's like a lot of American money influence there. So it's just kind of got its own set of problems, and it's quite different than the actual like main area of Mexico.
There is, yeah. And the food was pretty good though. You went to the actual good restaurants where you'd ask around. Otherwise, it was just like the street carts. No one eats at the Americanized, like kind of white Mexican food, and then there was the traditional food.
I heard that if you ever go to Mexico City, don't ever eat American food there because like a lot of crops don't grow very well there, and they get a little bit infested. And it's like one of the easiest ways to get food poisoning in Mexico is eating American type food.
That and the water.
Yeah.
Amoeba, the Montezuma's Revenge.
Yeah. There's that too. If you boil it first, though, it's fine.
Yeah. They had a bunch of little trinket shops with the same damn trinkets, but you can get like handmade wooden and leather stuff that was really good. And certain art, it just depends on where you look.
According to my mom, the best places to visit in Mexico are the uncharted areas, because she said that southern Mexico rarely gets American tourists, and that's where you can really find some very interesting people and culture and things like that. And people will actually be really, really nice to you because they're not used to Americans, so you're like a novelty.
Makes sense.
I was certainly a novelty when I went to America.
Were you?
Yeah, I went to Michigan and Kentucky. And of course, even over there, I'm unusually tall, so I've got some weird looks. And of course, my accent, they all kept calling me British. Because I do have a slight British accent, because I lived there for so long. But
yeah, I noticed the British accent. Then you said you were Norwegian, and that threw me off a little bit.
no, I lived in England for 7 years. Yeah, so I picked up the accent. I ain't lost it, even though I can still speak Norwegian perfectly fine, and my accent goes back. It's only when I speak English I sound English. It's weird.
No, I've heard of that. I know a Chinese woman who speaks English like a Valley girl and Chinese perfectly.
Yeah. I think it's you get used to the accent in a certain tone.
Yes.
When you're speaking a language, and that's how it works. I mean, when I speak French, I do actually sound a slight bit French.
It's all nasally and no tongue movement.
I met this guy with this very, very unusual accent because he was actually originally born and raised in New York City. And so he had that really strong, he used to have that really strong Brooklyn accent, but he spent the last, I think, 15 years in Paris with his wife. So he had this weird, he had this Brooklyn French accent. It's the only way to describe it, because some of the words he'd say had that very Brooklyn accent to it, but some of the words had this very French accent to them.
Oh, I bet that was funny.
It was kind of made it very hard to understand him. In fact, his wife was easier to understand, even though she had just that very strong French accent. Because mixed accents are really, really difficult. I remember watching a show that had a girl who was Asian, so she still had that Asian accent, but she was living in Britain, so she had a British Asian accent, and I could not understand a word she was saying. She was completely non-understandable to me.
There was another funny one when I went on a holiday. This was years ago. I went to Turkey, and I went over there, and we went on one of these boat tours where they just take you around on a boat for the day. And we were on there, and it was one of the crew members was a Jamaican guy, but he had a slight Turkish Jamaican accent. It was hilarious. It was certainly a mix.
I've been told that I sound a little Canadian.
I don't know. I guess picking up a little Midwestern, a little Canadian.
It's Alaska. We have a lot of military bases, so I've noticed most Alaskans have mixed accents, at least for U.S. mix, and then we do have a little bit of a Canadian sound to it too.
Makes sense.
I know when I was working drive-through at McDonald's, I accidentally picked up a Southern accent, but only when doing the drive-through, because some of the other drive-through attendants had a Southern accent. So it was I found it's really easy to speak with a bit of a Southern accent if you're trying to talk very fast but be polite to people, because it seems like a Southern accent is just a very fast, polite accent.
I have a Southern accent. I have a Texas drawl, and that's more of our custom. Even I had a joke about this with trying to pick up girls in New York when I was in the Navy. How they would say "fuck you" for asking them for the time, but down here they're like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm taking sweetheart." Be rude, but still polite.
Well, it's okay, I guess I could do my drive-through voices. Thank you for choosing to go to McDonald's. May I interest you in a hot and spicy McChicken? Would you like that large sized? All right, thank you. I'll get you at the first window.
Huh. It's got a hint of twang in it and some Californian.
And what?
Some California.
A little California.
Little California. The twang is. I have mixed cousins who have that accent, who are that beautiful caramel skin from their father and their white mother. They're learning Spanish that their none of their parents speak, and they have a twang to it, and it's hilarious. They say things like "batre."
It's just something I've noticed when you work like customer service. Sometimes you end up with a twang when you don't realize why you even end up with a twang. You're like, why is my customer service voice all twangy?
It's kind of an empathy thing. You pick up accents of people you're comfortable with. If I'm around somebody with like a southern accent, my accent gets a lot thicker.
I've noticed one thing with me. I've got a phone voice.
Yes, you do. I want to wait.
My voice totally changes when I'm on the phone to somebody important. It gets deeper and a bit more slow.
You an example?
I can't really do it now because I'm not speaking to anybody to like the tax man or anything.
Well, just like see if you can give us a close example.
Well, it would be kind of like more like this, be a bit more slower.
You sound like Irate Bear.
Yes.
God.
This is me off.
Downs. Oh, got downs.
Yes.
So now I know my phone voice is Irate Bear. I can wind him up now.
Yeah, she can do this double. You think you're listening to Irate Bear, but this is Jack here. Yes.
I have to thank Irate Bear for getting me some more subscribers because he gave me a shout out, and I noticed that actually bumped my subscriber number a little bit.
What's your count at now?
It's like 700 something. I don't know. I'd have to check. I think it's like 755.
Yep. That sounds familiar. I think when I joined, you were approaching 500s.
Yeah, I've the biggest boost I got was when I did that collaboration with Magog is like the biggest boost I got to my channel.
Oh, Magog's cool.
Although one thing I've noticed that kind of annoys me is I used to live stream occasionally with like Lord Noogle and his stream of corruption and things, but I've noticed he stopped giving me invitations to their hangouts, and I'm like,
Don't take it personally.
What's that?
Don't take it personally.
Probably because he doesn't like you because you're getting bigger. He doesn't. Some people are like that.
Yeah.
If you start to grow, they don't like it.
I don't know. He's got like bigger channels than me on there.
I know, but some people are like that. They won't have you on if you start to grow.
Weird.
Especially if you're growing faster than that.
Yeah.
I think
times.
I don't know. I just I guess I'm okay with it because the last one I did with them, I felt like I was kind of talking into a void because every time I said something, nobody responded to it, and I was just getting really frustrated because it felt like I was like having a separate conversation outside of the main conversation. So I don't know, maybe there was just some sort of, maybe I just wasn't connecting very well with the group.
Were you getting shut out, or were you like the smart kid in class?
I think A and B.
The one that actually watches the news and talks about, relevant stuff versus, the bullshit.
Well, I'm the second one in that. I'm the one who talks a lot of bullshit on the stream. It usually gets quite dirty when I'm on the stream, but I'm not doing it today. I'm sober.
Maybe I should invite you into a BDSM stream. That would be interesting.
Oh, God, that would be awesome. Yes. I took my girlfriend to one of those stores recently. Had her try on a bunch of corsets. Oh, yeah.
I actually like corsets. They feel nice on the back. You just can't wear them for the entire day. Like if you just wear them for a couple hours, they actually do feel quite lovely, to be honest.
The issue is they didn't have like normal size. They had like, I think they stopped at around 20.
Oh, Irate Bear's in the chat.
Hello, Irate Bear. What should I say? Hello.
Yes, do a beat stream. That would be hilarious.
Maybe I should just fill Irate Bear in on what's wrong with me. It's my mental health and diabetes, stomach flu, having to go to the hospital. That's about it, right?
Oh, God, wow.
Well, not real diabetes, but like almost.
Pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
Borderline.
Yeah.
And the borderline with borderline diabetes. There you go.
She ain't got the insulin.
No,
Yes.
I'm not on insulin, no. So I don't have it yet. So, but I'm borderline diabetic.
That's all right, then you could be saved from it.
Yeah.
Just when they put you on insulin, you're on it for life once you're on it.
Oh,
My dad died.
he's asking about my mental health. Just with the health complications, I've been kind of down and feeling very sorry for myself, sleeping all day, stuff like that. Because even if it's not a big deal, when you get like hit with something that big, I think that a lot of people would just kind of feel depressed and sorry for themselves.
Is it running your family?
It does. It actually runs on both sides. But one of the things they told me, because I went and talked to the dietitian about it, and she was actually astounded with how good my diet actually is, because I'm usually very, very careful about everything. She actually said that I had a much better diet than the average American. Her thought was because I'm half Hispanic, and Hispanics have a much higher risk of diabetes despite good diets compared to other races.
I mean, my dad's got diabetes because basically he drank like way too much, and he basically ended up with appendicitis, which could kill you. And he had it twice. Next thing you know, he's got diabetes because there's it's not appendicitis, it's pancreatitis. So his pancreas was screwed, so he couldn't absorb sugars properly. So he was on it for the rest of his life. Died sadly last year of lung cancer.
Well, I already know I'm beyond depressed because I'm answering Irate Bear's question here. I know I'm beyond depressed because, as I mentioned in the beginning of the stream, I have borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, generalized anxiety, PTSD, and night terrors. If you want to know all my list.
I've got bipolar and PTSD.
Not borderline though, huh?
Got.
No, I've got it, but I've got one of the lower ends of it because there's different types, isn't there?
For bipolar?
Yeah, you can have rapid change and you can have a slow change. In mine is slow.
Are you bipolar 1, 2, cyclothymic, or
Cyclothymia.
I think it's type 1, I think.
Okay, so you do go manic sometimes.
Yes, I do get at a manic stage.
Because I know the difference between type 1 and type 2 is that type 2 actually has, doesn't have full-blown mania. They can only go to hypomania, but their depressions last longer and they go into deeper depressions.
I struggle between the two, even though I'm on medication for it.
Have you ever had a mixed episode?
Yes, I have had it.
How did you react to it? I'm just wondering.
To be honest, you don't know it's happening to you. Only other people around you notice when it's happening.
For a mixed episode?
Yeah.
That's interesting because when I had a mixed episode, it actually caused a mental overload where I was actually freaking out on the couch for 3 days. And like, I didn't really move. I was like panicking the entire time because my emotions were so overwhelming that I had to be rushed to the hospital and given medications and things like that.
Wow.
It's probably because at the time I was drinking quite heavily then. So I was probably drinking on top of it. So in other words, I was sleeping through most of it.
I have a cyclothymia, obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, and then borderline traits. But that may have been an overdiagnosis.
Like, wait, you have borderline as well as schizotypo?
Traits. So it's like the time I had like 5 out of 13, not that it required 9 or so.
I just wonder how that works because I
So-
thought. Oh wait, no, I think I'm mixing schizo and schizotypo up because I know schizo personality disorder is where you have like almost no emotions. You're a machine.
It's like schizoid. Schizotypal, it's like you have a hard time fitting in with people, regardless.
Kind of like autism without the autism.
Yes, it's kind of like Sheldon Cooper. Like, you can function with people, but you just don't really understand them. But that may have been more of a situational thing and overdiagnosis because I've had other therapists say that you don't really fit that bill. But the others, yeah. The cyclothymia, that's like, I cycle up and down every 4 hours.
Oh
Every
my
34 hours.
goodness, that is ridiculous.
So I have to take the Wellbutrin in the morning. Otherwise, it's like lots of caffeine throughout the day, which is not good for me. And then the mood stabilizers, so those aren't, those peaks and valleys aren't as high and low. So college is kind of tough with that.
They're not sure if I have bipolar 1 or bipolar 2 because they don't know if my manic episodes are enough to be considered full-blown mania because I've never had a psychotic episode.
Huh.
The closest I've ever gotten is sometimes when I'm manic, it's very hard to sleep because when I close my eyes, this is the closest I've ever gotten to a psychotic episode. I hear clanging. Like, have you ever heard the sound of a pot being knocked off a tall shelf?
Yeah.
I hear that when I try and close my eyes and start sleeping. I'll actually hear like the banging of pots and pans or just very loud noises.
Another disorder. I'm familiar with it where they hear like almost like explosion sounds.
Yeah, I've had that.
When do you hear that?
Usually when I'm just about to go to sleep.
So you guys all have that same issue then?
Yeah, I usually hear like an explosion, sort of like noise. Just as I'm about to nod off, and it wakes me up, and then of course I start to nod off again. It happens again. It's weird. It's hard to describe.
Yeah, that's very similar to when I hear the clanging of pots and pans. It's usually when I'm trying to sleep. I'll start nodding off, and then I'll hear things banging in the distance.
I'm familiar with that. I can't remember what it is though. It's
Some sort of audio distortion or some.
They told me it was audio hallucinations.
Yes.
I think it's when your brain starts to shut down to go to sleep. It's more likely to happen. That's why it happens at night.
Yes.
It's probably when you're more in a lucid state.
Yeah, they're not. I've just been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. They haven't been able to put like a specific diagnosis on it, just because they're not sure if I'm 1 or 2.
Oh, it took me 4 years to get a diagnosis of bipolar.
When were you diagnosed, Toglin?
When I was officially diagnosed, only about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. It takes a good couple of years to get your medicine right too.
Yeah. I actually more recently got diagnosed with borderline. That's one of the reasons I've been making a lot of videos on it is because like after being diagnosed, I looked it up and I didn't realize it had such a nasty reputation behind it. I'm like, oh good God, why?
Yeah.
Why is this here?
More of the toxic relationship. The people that I commented on your video about that. The people that deal with toxic relationships that have either a touch of that themselves or they go after that certain type. So that's all they talk about.
It's interesting because I was thinking about doing a video discussing the fact that you see less of the borderline hate pages, but I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing because from what I understand, Google has just been moving them more to the backs of the queues and YouTube's been slightly cracking down on them. But the issue is all that's going to do is make people think oh, look, us talking about this group is now oppressing us because we're being censored for it. So I think the best way to deal with it is to just simply address the arguments, which I decided to start doing that because I noticed nobody else was. Like, there's other Borderlines, but they're just basically like, their videos were not for other people. They were only for other Borderlines. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Could also be YouTube's kind of SJW movement, where they're jumping into overprotection now.
Yeah, I don't think that censoring people who have a bad opinion on Borderlines is the way to fix this issue, because I think the issue is that not enough people are getting information, and not enough people are out of the closet for being Borderlines, because one of the things that really helped Bipolars is people like Carrie Fisher and Stephen Fry coming out saying, hey, we're Bipolars, because from what I understand, Bipolar used to have just as nasty of a reputation as Borderlines.
It gets confused with Borderline too.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
It gets confused for Borderline too.
Not you.
I'm sorry.
Basically, Bipolar does still have a slight bad reputation.
Does it really?
I mean, spoke to quite a few people when they found out I got bipolar, have basically fucking avoided me ever since.
Yeah, me too.
So
interesting.
Whereas I try and be honest about it. If somebody asks about it, I'll tell them. And I'll tell them what it's like.
I kind of wonder if that's a gendered thing, because I've never actually gotten any hate whatsoever over me having bipolar. Only Borderline.
Oh, I don't know. I've had women say that when they found out I've got bipolar, they thought I was going to be a psycho killer and murder them in the middle of the night and stuff. It's unbelievable, some of the stuff I've heard.
I've had those questions too. Yeah. They ask you if you're on medicine and if you've had certain episodes.
No,
like,
they usually just jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
These are people that don't know anything about it at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And they don't want to know what it is either. As soon as you mention mental health, automatically you're going to be out there being Norman Bates, stabbing people behind shower curtains.
Or a stalker.
Yeah. I don't stalk anybody. I hardly ever go out unless it's to work.
Well, what's interesting is I don't have, like, one of the diagnostic criteria for both Borderline and Bipolars is you're supposed to have anger issues or a bad temper. That is the only thing that I don't actually fit with either of them. Like, I have 8 of the 9 criteria for Borderline, and the one that I'm missing is having anger issues. So that's one of the reasons I have a hard time fathoming people with these conditions having, like, bad rage issues, is just simply because I don't have it.
I've got a very long fuse, but when I blow, I blow.
Yes.
And I mean it, I really do go bloody nuts when somebody hits my limit to that degree. People are usually terrified when they see me go.
When I get angry, I actually get over it really quickly. Like, I get over it just as fast as it blew over. I'm just like, oh, that was interesting.
It's like a man.
I mean, it was only last month I got arrested, and I spent God knows how long in the bloody police cell. I think it was 8 hours in the police cell because I was raging.
What happened?
Oh, I had a problem with a neighbour, don't worry. Causing me shit.
My anger is usually very controlled. I haven't lost it in a long time, but it's the kind where I get kind of quiet and staccato voice that's scary.
Yeah, I do that just before I'm about to explode.
Yes.
I'll go really quiet. That's when you know you're going to get me triggered.
Yes. The guy you don't want to mess with.
It's I don't usually get violent. I just usually just explode. You know what I mean? But if somebody was to punch me once in that state, honest to God, I'd rip shit out of them.
Of course.
And it has happened to me before now where that's happened.
I have the issue where most things that make people angry will make me cry, like instead. My therapist thinks it's because I'm very emotionally aware or very self-aware, because they say that anger is a response to feeling like you're feeling hurt or like something's unfair. So rather than going to that, my brain automatically says, oh, this person just hurt you. You should cry about it. So that's what I do.
It's safer than my one.
Right. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing though, because when somebody says something really mean, they're expecting you to get angry, and instead you run off and cry. They're like, well, that was unexpected.
It's a better response than what I get, because I tend to get arrested a lot.
Yeah, I've never gotten arrested.
Oh, it's happened to me a few times. I've never actually been charged with anything, but they usually lock me up just to calm me down, you know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
I'm usually put on watch as well. You know what they call a glass cell? Where, in other words, you're in the cell, but it's like perspex on the outside, so they can see you from the actual lobby area, so they can check to see you're not going to do anything bloody stupid. That's not pleasant being in a cell like that, because even when you have a pee, they can see what you're doing. That's how bad I get. I'll give you an idea.
I've never been put on watch like that. Like the place I keep going whenever I have psychological issues is actually one of the lowest security places you can go to in Alaska, because I usually just go to the crisis center, which from what I understand, if you're like schizophrenic, psychotic, or something like that, they transfer you to a different facility. So mostly just mostly they just deal with people who are depressed, suicidal, as long as they're not at immediate suicide risk, borderlines, bipolars, and stuff like that.
Mm. Yeah, there's a few places around here like that, but most of them are closed down now.
Really?
Yeah, the government around here doesn't want to cope with mental health.
We're having a little bit of issues, like with my my insurance that I personally have used to make it so that for my medications and stuff, for my psych meds, there was absolutely no copay, but now it's like a copay, but since I'm so poor, it's only like a 50-cent copay, so I'm like, whatever.
I go to the military hospital, and that one I get stuck with guys with PTSD in like the most severe group. So it's interesting. They have a lot of them are Desert Storm and Vietnam veterans. Some new Iraqs, but sorry, I'm out of breath. They actually graduated from their DBT group, because I had college, I could deal with my issues, but a lot of them, it was just the same problem every week. They would we'd all talk about our issues, but it was just two people that wanted to take over, and it was usually issues with a neighbor, and then they would go from that into like war stories that they would stop them at.
Mm.
When in group therapy, most of the people I've dealt with that have PTSD is sexually related PTSD or child molestation PTSD of most of the ones I've met.
Mine's due to war.
Just because for whatever reason, most of the groups I've joined have been mostly women.
Yeah.
They do segregate to some degree. It's, my PTSD stems from war.
Sexual abuse.
Oh, I've never had it for sexual abuse, no.
Actually, I don't know if you guys saw that video I had on that, but that's where I get my PTSD from.
God.
Of the middle school?
Yeah. That's the source of my PTSD. The reason I have it in text is because I actually can't verbalize what happened. I am physically incapable of it.
Yeah, I know somebody that's like that. In fact, I knew two guys that have been sexually assaulted when they were younger, and they can't talk about it either.
You can try, but things end up jarbled, so it's just easier for me to write it down.
Yeah. Well, I don't like talking about mine either, so I can understand it.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, that I found interesting is a lot of people were asking me in the chats and stuff and otherwise is people were wondering if that's where my borderline came from, but actually my therapist doesn't believe so. Because I've had borderline traits before then, so they think it has something to do with my dad dying when I was a baby and my mom never remarrying.
So you got it from her. You got it from her.
Well, my mom was actually not my mom's not a borderline. She's an untreated bipolar. She's like a hippie, and she refuses to use unnatural man-made remedies for such things.
No, what I've read about it, it's usually it's either something happening when you're about 3, dad leaves, or sexual abuse, or you're in a family where you can't express emotions.
They also say that that having a single parent, especially with something like traumatic, like one of your parents dying, parental death is a huge cause as well.
Yes.
And another thing is, I moved out of Mexico when I was 3, so it was a huge cultural shock, and I just simply didn't fit in. Because a lot of people made fun of me because they're not used to seeing a natural redhead speaking Spanish. I don't have red hair anymore just because my hair just got darker as I got older, but when I was a kid, it was definitely ginger.
Yeah.
That's weird. I used to be blonde when I was a kid. Now I'm kind of like dark brunette.
Yeah, I've got that dark sort of brunette as well, where it's just kind of, it still has a lot of red tones to it, but it just got really dark as I got older.
Never understood how that works, but I honest to God, was platinum blonde when I was a kid. No, I grew up and her hair started to change colour. What the hell's happening?
Yeah, like it took me a while for my hair to change color because even through my teens, my hair looked pretty red. It's just only when I hit like 15, 16 that it started going real dark.
You know, I had the typical Warian look, you know, the Norwegian typical look, that blonde. And next thing you know, it started to change colour again. I'm glad it did, though, because I started to look a bit like an albino. Ooh.
Well, I exchanged the red hair for even more freckles, so I don't know if that was a good trade.
I don't know. Sometimes freckles can look cute, so.
I got them on my shoulders and my arms, and I've heard that that's not very cute to some people.
Yeah, don't bother me.
They also notice they make me look paler because I actually can get a pretty good tan, but my freckles get even darker, and I think just the really dark spots make your skin look lighter.
Yeah, I'm about the only Norwegian I know that can actually get a decent suntan without burning.
The same way I can freckle.
I mean, my wife is Norwegian as well, and if she goes to anywhere hot, she, honest to God, looks like a lobster after a few minutes in the sun.
Yep. I'm always 15 minutes away from a sunburn.
It's unbelievable. But I can sit out in the sun for hours.
When my brother gets a tan, he looks almost like it looks like we kidnapped him from a third world country. He is so Mexican looking. Like when he gets, because when he tans like so dark. But he can even get darker than your average Mexican if he spends enough time in the sun. I don't know why, but like I look white and my brother looks Mexican. That's just how the cards fell.
It's genetics.
Goes like that. I mean, my oldest brother is quite a chunky git, and all the rest of us are like skinny and tall. I've never understood that.
Yeah, it is weird how you can have people like of the same like genetics, where you can have siblings and they look so different.
Yeah, he's the odd one out. All the rest of us are tall and skinny. Yeah, he's a short, dumpy guy.
Have you guys seen the images of those twins, the black and white twins? They're fraternal twins, and one of them's black, the other's white, because they have a black and white parent. One of them definitely looks black, and the other definitely looks white.
With the red hair.
Yeah, one's
Mexican features, but she's very, very white. Yeah. It's almost like how a cat will have different fathers and produce a whole bunch of different kittens.
Yeah.
Remind me of.
I was thinking about doing a video based on that image, because there's that article in Everyday Feminism about how white passing people of color should excuse themselves of places for people of color, and I'm like, so basically, out of these two sisters, they're fraternal twins. One of them would have white privilege, and the other would not. What?
Yeah, exactly. Screw him over.
You can't be here, even though you're my twin sister. Why? Because this is a place for people of color.
This is my twin.
Hey guys, I met Sean King. He's white. I have pictures with him. That guy is white. Like he was about as light as I am, wearing designer glasses and a shitty mustache.
You know what I've always found interesting is people that are black and white mixed, a lot of times they don't look black and white mixed. They look like what some other race or ethnicity. Like, I know a girl who's got that mix and she looks Filipino, another lady who looks Hawaiian, and this other dude who looks Mexican.
Is it just me that thinks Iraq Bear looks a little bit Asian?
Yes.
He does look a little bit Asian to me, even though he's half black, half white. Maybe it's just me.
I'd say maybe Hispanic. I think he looks a little Hispanic to me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to nip off in a minute, so I'll probably speak to you again sometime if I see you on the stream or whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking about going anyways too, just because I got a doctor's appointment later today.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and sort out the kids in a minute, so I'll speak to you some other time.
Yeah, thanks you guys for joining me, because otherwise streaming by myself feels very awkward.
I know, I couldn't do it. I'd run out of things to say in about 2 seconds.
People wonder why my videos are so short.
All right, see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, it was fun. Thank you.
Did you have any questions for me before we go?
I can't think of anything more unless, what do you have planned upcoming?
My doctor's appointment? Or
video.
Videos I have planned. I have a lot of ideas, but I'm not sure what to do, because I could do a video on what's his name that everybody else is doing a video on.
Describe him.
Oh, the dude who thinks pedophilia is okay and raping babies is fine.
You could also do a video on, I saw H3H3 and then Andy Worski, the one on that redhead chick who cooks naked for just blatant views. And she can't even cook.
I also found, I don't know, I also found a video, but I was meaning to do a response video from this, like, because I like doing feminists that nobody knows about, like, basically just the bedroom feminists. I found an entertaining bedroom feminist who has a lot of talking points that I've meant to address, but I just haven't, but at least I found a more recent video that has some stuff, so I noticed that my bedroom feminist videos get the most views, so I might just do that, cater to my audience.
What do you think about, like, they say the skeptic community is kind of falling apart because they're winning?
I'm not concerned because if you look at my actual bio, all it says is I'm an opinionated artist, and regardless of what's in or out, I'll still have an opinion.
Yeah, it's just that they're talking about like it's kind of getting old talking about the same people all the time. Well, I guess the more known ones like what was it, Riley Dennis.
They say that, yet those are still my biggest videos. I'm like, because I've thought that, and so I've tried branching off, but my branch off videos do not get nearly the views.
You also had Yvette Falarsha on the video begging for her job because she's getting fired as like a middle school teacher.
You know, if people want to send me something they'd like to see a video on, that'd be really cool with that. That might make my job a little easier, just because I'm never sure what people want to watch.
All right, if I find anything interesting, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said,
also,
I've been feeling kind of down, so it's been kind of difficult for me to focus on making a video.
Okay, there's also some stuff here that's been going on that's that went in the news. Like, I think they had a month ago. What was it? Antifa protesting at City Hall that started a fight with a member of the Crips.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anything happened to that.
It's really weird because we don't really have Antifa up here or a lot of the stuff that happens down in the States. It's just really weird from my perspective because I'm so disconnected from it all.
But it's too cold and, you know, it requires work up there. You can't have vegan ISIS with, you know, mommy and daddy doing all the work.
Right. Well, and we actually have a very high amount of working class, so I think they're just afraid to piss them off.
Yeah.
I mean, like actual labor jobs, because I think we still have some of the most labor jobs compared to other states, because we actually still produce quite a bit up here.
I get a lot of weird emails from my college. I go to a women's university, and it seems like every couple weeks there's an email explaining that something happened, and then there's crisis counselors available for the free speech space. Like I got an email first about some flyers for some socialist movement on a day when no one was at school, and it was like 3 pages long explaining how that had never happened there, but they have crisis counselors available if anyone needs to talk. It's confusing.
I know a few friends who go to UAA who say that there is a little bit of that nonsense going on, but nothing to the extent of what I hear about.
It's more like they're just trying to save their jobs, but the professors I know, they're baffled by this because it's gotten to the age where they basically just drop their children off at school and expect the teachers to parent them. And then they get offended and want to raise hell at college.
I actually think I might just address another bedroom feminist, because one thing I've noticed is that since other people have been getting tired of the content or so, nobody's making them, and I think there's still at least this niche demand for it.
Who do you have in mind? Or, without giving it away.
About what?
What are her talking points?
Oh, it was a talking point I meant to address a couple months ago, but I just never got around to it, which is, you know, she has the general feminist arguments. She starts off with the wage gap, of course, and then she goes into why we shouldn't call women girls. And I'm like, of course. And I realize I've never personally addressed that argument, so I'm like, you know what, might as well. Got someone recently doing a video on this, so maybe. Yeah, don't call women girls.
That's what Mayim Balak argued before. And I was like, man, I looked up to her as, you know, Blossom, and she's got a doctorate in, what was it? Is it neuroscience?
I think so, yeah.
And she's basically just bitching about her friends go, oh, that girl looks hot. And it's this whole, like, I think it's a 12-minute video or 20-minute video talking about how you shouldn't call women girls. And don't you have anything better to talk about? You know?
It's so dumb, and it's just something I never addressed before, so I'm like, I might as well. I mean,
well, what's the counter to that? Is that you can't call your friends your boys?
I wish I'm like, I hear grown men being called boys all the time. It's not that unusual. Maybe not as much as girls, but I hear people like, I'm going to go out with the boys, or you guys are such boys. You know, stuff like that. I hear that all the time. Maybe it's just up here part of our vernacular. I don't know.
It's down here too. Your friends are your boys, and it's almost like, you ever seen the beginning to Baby Boy?
No.
I just watched like the first beginning of Baby Boy. He explained how some psychologists theorize that because black men are infantized because they call their house their crib, their woman is their baby mama, they call their friends their boys, and all that.
Well, I mean, Thin Lizzy said the boys were back in town. I don't think he was talking about little kids.
No. I can understand, not calling women bitches, but girls?
Well, another thing is women like to be referred to as younger, you know?
Yes. It's also cultural things too. Like, found out with the Asian women, they don't want to be called strong and independent. They want to be called, basically feminine traits. Or
I don't like being called a tomboy. I hate it.
See, that's another point you could address.
And like a lot of girls will call their girls tomboys as a compliment, and I'm like, no. They're like, but you go hiking. I'm like, no, I'm not a tomboy.
Yeah, that's. Or the other one is how, oh God, you can't call, lesbians don't like to be called lesbians anymore. It's gay or it's some other thing.
What?
Yes, I had a teacher came in. Okay, this was drama, and confused the hell out of us. And there with my gay friends and my girlfriend, and she asked us all our pronouns, and we're like, that has nothing to do with this. And she described herself as two-spirited. What was it? Non-binary. Basically described herself as being a lesbian, which were cool. Lesbian, gay, fine, awesome, got it. But she wanted to go into all these definitions for it because lesbian has a bad connotation.
What? I don't understand these people.
I don't either. I just think that, the working world is going to be so much easier once you're competing with them. It's either going to be like YouTube, where if you have a brain, you're going to be ostracized, or it's going to be like, any other environment where these people are going to get fired. Or did you see the video of the girl who got fired on her first day?
No.
I think she was working for Twitter, and she graduated from, I think it was Harvard, and decided to go out and party. Came in hours late. He asked, "Why are you late?" And she goes, "Oh, I decided to party and everything." And he just fired her on the spot for giving him attitude instead of being like, "I am so sorry, it won't happen again." In a time when you're basically under trial, you have that first you can't screw up. Yeah, I'll find you that video too.
That would be an interesting one, just because I think that the some of the entitled attitudes that people have are just ridiculous. Like, I think everybody needs to, before they get a regular job, I think everybody needs to work customer service for a year. That's just like an honest thought. So people can know like what it's like to put up with shit. You know what I mean? Just, I think everybody should at least spend 1 year doing customer service, and like, and like the type, not like the sort of you're slightly connected to the customers, but you're not. Like, you work in the kitchen or something. No, I mean like you have to be out there, either waitress, waiter, cashier, or something where you directly work with the customers.
Yes. Military, you clean toilets and you take shit from people that are younger than you.
Well, just because that way, I think people would become a lot more polite in that respect, because then they'd know what it's like to take shit from actual people.
I found the video. I YouTubed the girl fired on her first day, and it's Millennial Rant by Mr. Bill Dodd. It's yeah, that's about it. That's the first search.
If you want to just send me things on Twitter, you can, because I actually check my Twitter every day.
I don't have a Twitter. I'll have to make one.
How? What? Oh, that's right. I only made a Twitter after I started a YouTube. Well, actually, before I started a YouTube channel, it was just to talk to the YouTubers that I talked to.
But I'll send you one. Yeah, people are baffled by that. I don't do that internet.
I don't think I've actually said anything on Facebook in months though, because I have a Facebook and I check it daily as well. But I'm really bad about just checking all my social medias, but not actually interacting with them.
This is definitely a good video to talk about, because she was talking about how after she got fired, she had a trunk full of stuff to protest with, and she thought that she was going to get her job back doing that.
You know, I've actually only ever been to one protest. At least the one I protested made sense.
Was it the anti-war one or something?
No, actually they were planning a road expansion in my local area, but the way they were planning the expansion, because part of the land on the other side of the road was native land, so they didn't want to go into that because they would have had to pay the native corps a lot. So they were going to actually build the road or expand it through the driveways and parking lots of a lot of local businesses and a lot of people, and just kind of cut into their land, and there's nothing they could really do about it. And they'd have to rearrange, and like basically the company, the roads, the government was going to just give people basically 10 pennies on the dollar and just like destroy the face of a bunch of their properties and stuff with the road expansion. So I was part of the large community protest to protest the current plans they had on the expansion. We weren't protesting the concept of expanding the road, but we were protesting the way they wanted to do it.
Right, and everybody there knew what they were protesting about. It wasn't just, what are you here for, anarchy?
Well, and not only that, it was like a lot of the people who were in the protest were Republicans. Some of the people were liberals. Like I'm a Democrat or a liberal, but generally, and you know what I mean? Like it was all sides of the political fence, because we all came together and said, yes, this is something that's messed up. This is a tangibly bad thing. So we protested it.
You're not mad at banks, so you're destroying ATMs when you're there for an anti-Trump protest?
No.
That's I can't understand. It used to be a protest was how you get attention and you bring that to City Hall. Now it's just, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's not the type of protest we did. What we did was we just we'd show up. We passed out flyers to people. We showed up to the planning meetings, and we showed up to basically all that kind of stuff. And it was a bit of a compromise where some of the properties still got the road expanded through them, but they at least made it so a lot of the businesses and some of the properties didn't. So it ended up being a bit of a compromise between us and the state, but still, at least we got at least halfway something done with it by it.
That sounds a lot better. Yeah, that's how it should be done.
Well, I mean, that's how you do a protest like that. If you see something tangibly that you don't, oh, there was one other thing I did protest for, or I didn't protest. I handed out petition. I once handed out a petition for banning declawing cats.
Yes. I'm a cat lover. They need their claws to defend themselves.
Right, as well as a lot of people don't realize that the cats are digitigrades, meaning that they actually balance on their front toes. And retractable claws is actually kind of a misnomer. It should be more called protractable claws because their natural position is retracted.
Yes.
But they actually use their claws as a good base for walking on. When you declaw a cat, it changes their posture and can give them long-term back problems, as well as makes their feet more sensitive, because instead of being on their hard toe pads, it sprays out their feet so that they have more of that very sensitive skin touching the ground directly.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but
yeah.
I love your videos, by the way. Your kitten videos.
Oh yeah, I'm not fostering any cats right now. That's why I haven't done any.
Have you seen Kitten Lady?
I have, yeah.
I got my mom into her, where she adopts the kittens that are going to be put down right away as soon as they go to the kill shelters, and then basically puts weight on them and then gets them adopted.
For here, we actually have a very, very, very low rate of euthanasia with animals, even in our kill shelter, just because people seem to really like their pets here. But one of the big problems is a lot of people think that it's better to let an animal just go in the wild than take it to a kill shelter, even though ours has such a low kill count and we have a bunch of rescues. A lot of the rescues that a lot of the organizations I work with do are actually rescuing of ferals or just recently abandoned cats. Because I really wish people would stop abandoning their cats. Their cat has a better chance of survival taking it to a kill shelter in a lot of times.
Yeah. What's another one? Hey, did you see the tweet from Melania Trump that got a lot of heat? She had her kind of, I guess it was her Thanksgiving spread.
I'm avoiding Trump drama on my channel.
This was just funny because it was just kind of like a Martha Stewart centerpiece that was just so expensive, and you had to go out of your way for every little piece that it was just so out of touch for being billionaires. And it was all basically just wilderness crap.
Yeah, I don't really keep up with Trump drama or anything like that, just because, wow.
Yeah. Then you're going to get the wrath on both sides, and it's just...
Yeah, it's not something, a lot of times politics aren't things that I like to touch on, because I have a very bad habit of playing devil's advocate, because I can actually see things from both sides in most cases, so I can kind of come off as rather dismissive, because I can actually... You know what I mean? Because when I'm talking to people, I can be kind of contrarian. Like even if they agree with me, I'll sometimes defend the other side because I don't know if they've actually considered the other side. So when it comes to politics, I usually just piss people off.
Politics now, it's just you're either with us or against us.
Right, and someone like me who can see both sides is hated by both sides.
Yeah.
I know that one topic I don't know if I ever want to touch ever is I don't know if I ever want to touch abortion.
Oh, no. All right, yeah.
Just because, oh my goodness, I've thought about it, but then I thought that would be social suicide.
It would, and you know, I have different views on it. You can't really get rid of it, and you can't really use
like
it as...
I said, I'm not going to actually state my views on it because that's just so channel suicide. Not going to do it. Nope.
Yeah, you worked too hard for that.
But there's a lot of videos I've considered doing that I just realized later that they would just be more trouble than they're worth.
Like Amish.
Like
Amish.
Amish isn't too bad because at least I have the same view as almost everybody else, being like, no, you're a dumbass.
Yeah. I'm just still trying to decide whether he's just being a provocateur or if that's his actual stance.
Well, plus I figured I talked about my stance on these things because I did do a video on omnipolitics.
Oh yeah. That was just... That guy needs some help.
Pedophiles. What the hell is wrong? Actually, you know what kind of depressed me about Amos Yee and this whole thing is why do pedophiles get like more defenders or supporters than like borderlines and bipolars? I'm like, we really haven't done anything wrong. Yet you guys are the ones who get defended. This is depressing.
I think it's because you have more of their advocates online. Like, yeah, that's one thing I noticed. Unless you're talking, that's weird. Unless you're just talking shit about borderlines and you have one that goes, hey, I'm borderline and that's not true, you're not going to have a whole team full of men just, in the shadows. Maybe there's like some sort of forum where they're letting each other know, like the MGTOW arguments. You notice that? Anytime there's like an issue, somebody talks about them, it's like the other side of feminism. They'll jump through all at once. It's happened to me before.
I've had feminists jump and attack me, and all they did, and all I had to do for that is I was talking to somebody, and they said, "Well, that sounds almost like an MRA argument." And I said, "I can identify as an MRA. I mean, I advocate for men's rights, so I suppose I am." And then I got like just majorly pounded on Twitter for that, me saying, "Sure, I'm an MRA. I have no shame."
This wasn't MRAs. This was like a MGTOW movement that was really weird. They were spamming my inbox with invites to go debate them on camera for some sort of gotcha with a whole bunch of people.
Oh, these were feminists on Twitter that attacked me for just, I don't know how they found my tweet. All I had to do was say, "Sure, I'm an MRA." And that's like all it took.
They're in the shadows. They will tweet out this stuff to anybody who will listen. And it's like they're always ready to pounce.
Yeah, I had Takedown MRA attacking me for some time. That guy is scum. Scum!
Yeah. A lot of them are scum. A lot of them, it's just this like scarecrow argument about women. It's very, very generalized. They'll base it off. I tried talking to one. He based this off of 2 girlfriends, and then it was just all women are the same. Very, very confusing.
Oh, I have met the actual women hating MGTOWs. People pretend they don't exist, but I've totally met them. They do.
Yeah. And I've been through absolute hell. I've been divorced and all that, and I'm like, actually had a therapist tell me, I'm surprised you don't hate women. I'm like, me too.
But I've had people tell me that because I was sexually assaulted when I was in middle school, I should hate men. I've had more people tell me that than you would think, and I'm like, why would I hate men? I mean, I hate that man. I hate that person with all my being. Like, thinking about him fills me full of anger and rage. But why would I hate all men? There was not like, it's not like the collective consciousness of the planet went together in that one person.
Exactly. And what gets me is I had to do a whole bunch of training for college where it's the consent stuff and the teach men not to rape stuff that was just very confusing. Because you know what? That's one thing I could send you is I've downloaded these videos for the sexual harassment training, and it's almost drawn like a comic book. I was thinking about doing a YouTube channel just so I could just so I can make fun of these and talk about them and just how terrible they are. They have like the Burger King Kids Club of just actors. One is my favorite one is the one where it's a white girl talking to a black guy about how he's gay, and they're like, "What's going on here?" "Oh, I think she found out Jason's gay." So,
oh my goodness, that would be epic. I would love to do a response to a sexual harassment video.
Phone, I'll have to probably maybe do like a Google share drive to send you everything I have. But instead of the guy actually going, "Hey, that's not cool, man, leave him alone," it's the little white girl that's got to tell him, "You're being very uncool. You don't talk to him like that. No, we have a problem with you." And it's the kind of thing where it's like, why don't you just like, "Excuse me, let me get to my apartment and just stay out of it." No, they've got to step in and be allies. Or the one where the domestic violence, they have it switched where the guy's getting this guy's playing video games with his black friend, and she's like, "Hey, is that your girlfriend?" "Yeah." And she's like, "You don't have to respond to her." And it's the whole setup is that she's being abusive to him.
Okay.
It's just cringy. And the one where one of the comic book ones is the one where the girl changes her mind and like, that's rape. So come on, we'll go down to the station, we'll port him together. She had sex with a guy. She changed her mind about consent after consent was given. And it was like they were both drunk, but somehow that was rape.
Well, there is one instant where I can say that might happen is because this actually happened to me once where I was having sex and all of a sudden it started hurting and I asked the guy to stop and he wouldn't stop, and like I was trying to push him off because it was starting to really hurt, and afterwards I actually tore a little bit and had to go to the doctor about that. I don't know. I never reported him for rape, but I think that I could see that being well argued that could be considered rape.
Was he pretty big, or was it just not ready, or?
I just sometimes get hormone imbalances where I dry out completely, and then then usually I have to ask a guy to stop, and then usually we just stop and get things worked up against, if you know what I mean, and then just keep going. But he didn't stop, so
That's one thing I was really uncomfortable with, getting with the shorter girl, is just making sure that's, am I hurting you? And those videos got in my head like, are you cool with this?
No, I'm saying that in that case, though, because if a girl's just like all of a sudden, hey, stop, you're hurting me, I think you should stop. Because, that's not even having to check up on them. They're audibly telling you, hey, cut it out.
Well, this video was different. It was she talked about them both being drunk, and then she changed her mind afterwards. And her friends convinced her to go.
No, that's not rape. Not at all.
And there's a whole series to these I could send you that I had downloaded, and I had to show these off because I took this at 5 o'clock in the morning when I couldn't sleep, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I have to go through this training every year to make sure that I don't talk like how men don't talk and rape women at a female university, at a women's university. That's just, no.
Well, the only reason I didn't report that one guy is because he was rather inexperienced, and I wasn't traumatized. I was just pissed off by it. You know what I mean? I'm just like, because actually I was really pissed off for quite a while with him. But like I've told some other guy friends, and some of my other friends say, oh no, that was rape, you should report him. I'm like, It was a while ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. If he wasn't so inexperienced, I think I might have reported him. I don't know.
I don't know. It's kind of a gray area.
It is, but I could see arguably if somebody did go to the police for that and reported it, I would basically be like, well, that would logically consist of taking away consent. So I could basically, if somebody else was in the same situation and they decided to report it for rape, I would be more sympathetic to that, Yeah. I'd be like, yeah, I can see it.
But
it also depends on how you're psychologically affected, I suppose, because if that really, like, I wasn't too bothered by it. I was mostly just pissed off, but I could see how someone could be traumatized by something like that. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be so dismissive towards such things.
Well, I'm trying to see it from both sides. Like, yeah, he should have stopped. But it's also like, I don't know. If we look at it from like another crime, like if it was assault.
Well, then again, not everybody reports assaults because sometimes they consider it not that big a deal. So sometimes these things are up to the victim's discretion.
And you felt. Would you say you felt sorry?
What's that?
Would you say you felt sorry for him?
No, I didn't feel sorry for him. I was actually quite pissed off at him because, like I said, it really did hurt. But I wasn't like it. Basically, I suppose it's because I had that trauma early on. It was nothing like that. So I guess I just figured if it was rape, it should be more traumatic.
Does that still affect you, or is that just kind of a once in a while thing?
Huh?
Does that still affect you doing that, or
that thing that happens?
Yeah.
Sometimes odd things will trigger it, actually. Like, I have a weird prejudice against guys with calluses on their hands, especially thick calluses. Like, if you touch my skin and you have thick calluses, sometimes I will completely freak out.
Oh.
Like triggers are real. They really are. But one of the problems, though, is that for most people I've talked to who have triggers, it's usually something that's rather not something you can get a warning on. Like, it's not something that people would think of as a trigger just because it brings you back to that event. Like, they don't have a trigger warning on calloused hands.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we should have told you about that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's not some...
Like, if you shake a guy's hand who works out in the field,
Well, shaking hands is different. It's more of like when somebody touches my arm or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Like, even if it's an accident, like, maybe they just brushed their hand against my arm because I had a mosquito there or something. If they have really thick calluses, I just completely freak out. Because the guy at that particular time was working as a carpenter.
Yeah.
So
You gotta-
I have a prejudice against blue collar workers.
You got to do a video on BDSM. That would be hilarious.
That I have to though.
You said it was a stream or something, or?
I have that. I was on FetLife and I found this really like SJW article on BDSM, and I'm like, really?
Which
Really?
one? Was it about pegging, or was it some weird shit like that, or?
No, a sub was saying how the benefits of not having a dom. I'm like, because they're like, well, you won't get spanked and stuff, and I'm like, isn't that what you like? That's your thing. Why are you complaining about these things?
Huh?
Oh, there's this article I read about the benefits of being a submissive without a dominant, and I'm like, what? What?
With the story about the woman who married herself, but wanted to have an open marriage in case she found somebody. Yes. Married herself, but considered it an open relationship and was open to cheating on herself with her boyfriend, I think, if she found a boyfriend. But it was just very, very sad.
Well, are open marriages cheating? I mean, I don't know. I think that's debatable.
From what I read, yeah, it is. But they also get sick of them too. It's just like you get sick of fucking other people if you were single. A lot of the ones who have the swingers, they get tired of it.
Well, yeah, but like I said, I go to the BDSM club, and I've met some couples who occasionally swing, but sometimes they'll go like a year without or so.
See, I like the BDSM because the girl I'm with now wants to call me daddy, and that freaked me out at first.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't know, but then again, when it comes to a BDSM situation, usually I'm a dom, so
yeah.
People usually call me mistress.
Oh man, you should get a Triologic on there. She says she used to be a dominatrix, and she's very open about it.
I've only done it for play, you know.
Yeah.
Especially since one of my hard limits, people don't understand why it's a hard limit. I'm naturally very good-natured, so one of my hard limits is I can't insult people, because some people just want to be like told things like, you're a horrible slut, you get down there, you filthy swine, or whatever it is they want to be told, and I just can't do that. That's just not something I can do.
Yeah.
It's a very strange hard limit, but it is one of my hard limits.
So what do you do at the dominatrix club? I mean, I know it's not about sex. It's just about
it can be. It can be. They allow sex in the club. It can be about sex, and sometimes it's not. Like, what's interesting is there's not that many doms. There's a lot more subs in the club I go to. So I actually have dominated gay men just because they just wanted a good spanking. They didn't care who. They don't care who. Whatever.
That's a good topic too. Is how to spank properly.
How to properly spank?
How to properly spank. It's from the outside in. Not you don't want to make them lose their balance.
Well, you know what would be even better is I actually cane. I actually have a metal cane, and I can actually use it without inflicting wounds on people. Well, it's more of a metal rod, but yeah, I've got a metal rod. I've also got a giant, like, acrylic rod. So I mostly use the rods, canes, and crops personally.
Togs rods.
Rods. The crop is nice. I like the crop.
Really? The cat o' nine tails or the riding crop? Yeah.
Yeah, riding crop. Mine's an actual horse crop.
See, I would love to hear those kind of stories.
Would you now?
Yes, I think that would be awesome, especially if you could animate them.
Oh dear. The club I go to, we're not allowed to out anyone, and nor like do depictions of them type thing. So we actually have like we can't like the issue with animating these people is I would be afraid to violate the rules of the club because we're not allowed to basically. You can't go back there if you accidentally out somebody.
Oh, okay. No, what if you're just just a generic feature, or just talked about that through animation.
Do you realize what a pain in the ass it is to do animations?
Oh, I haven't done animations, but I've done video editing, and that shit takes forever to do it right. And I'm such a perfectionist, I know.
Well, you know that Shadow Fox I did for the for my ghost story?
Yes.
That thing took me like 3 or 4 hours of animation.
Or just instead of animation, just talk about it. I think it'd be funny. As general as possible without outing anybody.
Yeah, they have very strict rules on outing people at that particular club, just because a lot of people there have like important jobs and things like that, and if it got out that they went there, it could have really serious repercussions for them.
Okay. But I would love to hear more about that. You expect you with rods.
There's a lot of BDSM channels on YouTube though, so I don't know.
Check those out. I don't know. I mainly stay to like the skeptic circle, the music and entertainment, and certain videos, news. I actually had Google come and talk to us. I got a free shirt from them because they wanted to know how we got our news. And I don't know, we were such millennials, we said YouTube. We don't actually watch the news because it's very, very biased in certain channels.
Mm-hmm.
So there might possibly be using that information to do some sort of change in the future.
I don't exclusively get my news from YouTube. I actually get it from a lot of sources.
Yeah. Well, I'll actually go up and look up their sources too. If they're reading articles, like I like V stuff.
I love V. V is awesome.
As another thing, I can't do his accent. I love his accent. And then he's actually talked about how much he actually makes. He's is he a nurse?
He's a doctor.
He's a doctor, and he only makes what, $230 a month over there. And what was it, Romania?
Yeah, he's like, I'm a Romanian. Give me cash. Shut the fuck up, you negro faggots.
Yes. Him and Seth original. I thought her accent was fake, but no, she's just very Russian.
Oh yeah. The only real good accent I can do is I can do an okay Moldovan accent.
Do it.
Why does everybody think I'm Russian? I'm not Russian. I'm from Moldova.
Oh. That's like the have you heard the song "Start Wearing Purple"?
Huh?
Start Wearing Purple.
No.
Yes, I'll send that one to you.
I should probably get going. Like I said, I have a doctor's appointment later, and I have things to do.
All right. So, what's your Twitter handle?
Oh, my Twitter is Toggling.
Toggling. Okay.
Yeah, it's just the same as Toglin, but it has a G in it.
Gotcha.
Like it's got an extra G on the end. It's actually, if you look at my YouTube channel, I have a direct link to my Twitter as well as to my DeviantArt.
All right, I'll get it. There's a couple videos I found too. If there's anything interesting, I'll send it to you. But thanks for talking to me.
Yeah, no problem. And if anyone else watches the stream and wants to send me videos or content that I might be interested in, no guarantee I'll do them, but I would appreciate the research and stuff, the legwork. Just send it to me on Twitter.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All right, have a great day.
You too.